So over to you, Ross.
Great. Well, thanks, Malcolm. And yeah, really good to hear all the facts this morning, especially actually on the survey. And thank you everybody for still being here for my little bit now. So as Malcolm said, I work for Beyonk. We work with Visit Cornwall to enable bookability directly on their website. We perform two functions really. We do provide booking systems themselves, but more importantly, we also provide that platform for your experiences to be directly bookable, say on that Visit Cornwall site. So I'm going to talk a little bit about why we're doing that, what we're doing it for, how to get involved, and how to maximize the opportunity that it presents. And I'm also just, I'll share my screen, I'm just going to start off as well with a little bit about just online booking as a whole. Can you, whoever's still not on silent, can you see my screen okay with this presentation here?
Yes.
I can't see anyone.
That's it. It's come up all right, Ross.
Yeah, lovely. Okay, brilliant. Thanks, Malcolm. Excuse me for clearing my throat a bit. I'm just on the tail end of a cold as well. So hopefully that won't interrupt matters. So I just want to start off with why online booking matters, really, just to sort of set the scene. And I think hopefully I'm preaching to the converted a lot, certainly a lot more compared to maybe 2 years ago. And I know a lot of people obviously had online booking kind of enforced upon them almost during COVID and because of COVID. But hopefully those of you who have had it all really understand the benefits of that now and can really see that. For those of you that haven't perhaps done that, hopefully I might be able to change your mind a little bit here or get you at least to think about it. So one of the core reasons to have online booking, why it matters so much, is the very simple fact that customers expect it. So yes, you can take bookings 24/7, which seems like a no-brainer. If you know, I'm getting home at 7 o'clock at night, putting the kids to bed, cooking dinner, getting around, sitting down in front of a laptop around 9ish to try and book something. Who's going to be at the end of a phone to take that booking? Not many, I suspect. So 24/7 booking is essential, and customers expect it. I was a really interesting chat with someone the other day, a co-steering business who had always thought that it was much better to have that personal engagement, and it was nice to find out a bit more about the customer and for them to feel welcomed in and to understand what they're going to get. But then he introduced online booking because of COVID and realized actually no, what customers want is a very quick and easy way to book, and that is that pretty much. And there are lots of other ways that you can still engage the customer. So and he thought it made him look a lot more professional, and that's what people wanted. They wanted a professional, easy way to book. So that was sort of was a really nice story for me to hear, certainly. But it is one of the key things as to why we should have online booking. It's not necessarily about making it impersonal. It's not meaning that you don't have to still accept bookings the other way, but it is an additional way to take bookings. So it can only help increase that number of bookings. And of course, one of the other really fundamental benefits of online booking is being able to lock in commitment. So, no more no shows through rainy days, or even if they do no show, at least, they have committed and the money is there, even if they decide not to turn up. But, it is a good way to sort of lock in commitment and make sure that you can be a bit more in control of your customers. So rather than leaving everything to chance and having customers, who's going to turn up on the day, or what's going to happen, or what's going to get in the way of that, or, this is a way to know exactly what's going to happen and know exactly, to a certain extent, who's going to come, when they're going to come. And you've got all sorts of tools at your disposal to make sure that when they arrive knowing what they're going to do, bringing the right things with them, all this kind of thing. So it's a really, really important and good way to be much more in control of your customers, which I would hope would make sense from your perspective. The other side of it, and these last points I will delve into a bit more detail with a bit later. So this is a brief overview for now. It is about improving customer experience as well. So don't forget that by having online booking, yeah, we don't want to put people off online booking by having too much information that they have to fill in, but there is, you can get a little bit. And by getting a little bit more information and by being able to give out a bit more information, you are able to help improve that customer experience at the end of the day as well. It can help increase your marketing efforts. There are obviously emails and things that can go out there that can customers and encourage them to make repeat bookings or to cross-sell other activities or other experiences. And of course, you've got other means with online booking to help increase revenue, things like selling gift vouchers, selling add-ons, group discounts, all the automated emails, all those sorts of things. And then finally, which is where we come on to really our work with Visit Cornwall, is the ability through a lot of online systems to then integrate with with online travel agents, is sort of the well-known one, or in our case, through our sort of fairly unique distribution network, which is DMOs, which is Visit Cornwall. We also work with GWR and Ordnance Survey, and so really looking to increase their sort of range of partners who have a really good, a really high number of website visitors. And now, with our work with Visit Cornwall, we're looking to really be able to give customers what they're looking for at the point of discovery. So whereas before they may have come through to the website and used it as much more of a research platform, and I'm not saying they still won't do that, but now instead of maybe finding a business and then having to click away and find out what that business does and what experiences they do, and then how to try and book those experiences, now it's much more front and center. And the website can be experience led. So it's much easier for people to find what they're looking for. They'll find the website more easily in the first place because there's lots more content on there of the direct experiences. So working with you to get your experiences, whether you have one of them or just admission to a historic house, whether you're an activity provider with 10 different experiences, whatever it may be, all these can now be, have their own content and page on the website and be directly bookable. So it can be just a few clicks away for people, for customers to be able to get on there, find inspiration, find what they want to do, and very easily and quickly book it. And by doing so, they are then, they're committed to a trip. And of course, it's unlikely that they'll go, unless it's a day trip and they're quite close, it's unlikely they'll go and just do one thing. So lots of sort of knock-on effects for everyone involved, which is why, a marketplace like this is so valuable, or it's so valuable that as many people as possible get involved, because it does have knock-on effects. And it is the more people involved, the better it's going to be, both for yourselves as a business, for Cornwall as a region, for the customers with more choice, all these things. The other, aside from the obvious short-term benefit of being more bookable and hopefully driving more bookings for you through Visit Cornwall, through sort of preventing that, the clicks kill problem of people disappearing and therefore reducing that booking rate, it also acts as a bit of a catalyst. So what we've found with the marketplaces is we do spend quite a lot of time working with the businesses to make them and help them become as marketplace ready as possible. So this ties in quite nicely with Malcolm, your previous chat about what we do with the other 32 weeks. And really interesting, one of the points that was raised right towards the beginning of the day, I think, about with people now considering holidays abroad, but having really enjoyed Cornwall, thinking about coming down at different times and whether we can come down sort of off peak. And just from a personal perspective, this is something that I find really invaluable. Before I worked at Beyonk, before COVID, I used to run a sport and adventure club, and we sort of organise weekends away and all this kind of thing. And some of my favourite weekends are those weekends where we organised a surf weekend or a water sports weekend, and we'd come down off season, often in the winter, and those memories of snow on the beach and no one else out there, all those things that you wouldn't otherwise get, or people maybe don't consider would be really that appealing, but so memorable if you can just sell it right and engage people that way, and so this sort of element of storytelling to fit in the marketplace is something that we're really keen to build upon, and I'll just tell a little bit more about that a bit later. But they are a great way to extend that season. I think it's easy to tell a slightly different narrative. So if you can come up with, to emotionally engage people and come up with a slightly different story for the same product, and that story can change just with the changing of the seasons. So just in the slightly different colours of the landscape that people are going to experience, the slightly different foods that you might want to appeal to them. Oh, in the summer, great, we'll organise a picnic, or you can go and have a picnic whilst you're doing this lovely activity with this amazing view. But in the winter, we've got these lovely cosy pubs where you can go and have a warming bowl of soup by the fire while you've had this bracing walk. These are the things that should be getting into the description of these experiences to really capture people's imagination. And it's so easy just to change that narrative for the same product. And then you've got something that can appeal to people off season. So very happy to chat to people about that separately afterwards, with one-on-ones, all this kind of thing to really see how we can capitalize on it. But I think these are really important things to get involved and to bring into your product for on the marketplace particularly. That's on an individual basis. I just want to say, as a collaborative exercise, all these different stories together is obviously priceless, is brilliant. So if the marketplace does start to focus people's attention and focus your attention on building in these different narratives for different things, then as a whole, that's fantastic. And that gives Visit Cornwall lots of ammunition for their own campaigns and for marketing those different seasons and those different themed events, whether it's Halloween, whether it's winter, whether it's something around Valentine's Day, whatever it might be. These are all great ways that we can collectively get a load of really good experiences tailor-made for specific times of year that we can attract people down for those things. As a long-term goal, I think there's a play here to say the more online booking we have, and this goes back to talking about the control you have over your customers. That's great on an individual basis. As a region, if this becomes more and more prevalent, and if we're getting sort of more and more people focusing on this through Visit Cornwall and through their own systems, it is a really good way to try and regulate numbers, whether it's the peak crowds in the summer that we can actually, overall start to try and regulate and control a bit more, because people aren't just turning up willy-nilly somewhere because they'll know it's full because they tried to book it and they can't, rather than just turning up and hoping. This can be a way to hopefully in the long term work with crowds better and distribute people better. And I'm sure as technology improves and we can start building in directions and regulating traffic and suggesting car parks, because this is how people are going to get to the experiences that they want to get to, and this is where you should go to park, then hopefully that can be something that we can all build in for the future. But I'll say that's not we can't do that yet, but I think this is all part and parcel of that journey that we're on that is quite exciting as to how this can help. I just want a quick word on the booking systems themselves. So obviously, whether you're using it on your own site with your own separate system, whether you're using Beyonk on your site, or whether you're using Beyonk with for managing your bookings with Visit Cornwall, I think there are some fundamentals just I want to quickly go through about making the most of your booking system. So first and foremost is, yes, great, you've got a booking system now. Please make sure that the website setup is appropriate, and that booking system and that essential book now button or the booking form is really visible. There's no point having a booking system that is hidden 7 clicks away somewhere and really hard to find. Make sure that it is front and center, either at least a book now button on the homepage or the booking form itself and the booking button itself on that homepage. Make sure that people can find it really easily. Otherwise, you're sort of wasting a lot of that effort. The control and planning I talked about, I think really essential. You can if you've got the opportunity to ask little questions pre-checkout, I wouldn't put too many in, as I said before, but if you've got a couple of questions you can put about how did you hear about us, do you want to go in our newsletter, clicking here to if you agree to our waiver, if you hire kit of some kind and you need to get essential information in advance, sort of height or sizing, all that kind of stuff, you can do that. I would always urge, if you don't absolutely need to ask the question before booking, don't, because there's plenty of ways you can follow up afterwards to engage the customer and keep them excited about what they're going to do. So that's where the emails kick in. I would imagine, certainly with Beyonk, I would imagine most booking systems have these automated emails. With ours, it's a booking confirmation email and then a reminder email 48 hours beforehand and a thank you email 24 hours afterwards. Again, really good ways to be able to engage the customer. It could be a simple message about really looking forward to seeing you in 2 days' time, or make sure that they are going to arrive at the right time, at the right place, bringing the right things, totally prepared, so that they have a better experience, so that you don't and your staff don't have to waste time trying to deal with problems that arise from people not bringing the right thing or not coming to the right gate on arrival or wherever it might be. So these are just ways that you can use a system to try and improve customer experience on the day as well. And again, using time slots, ticket types, again, these are just different ways you can find out information. It could be ticket types to say, well, is there a child ticket, is there an over 65s ticket, who are the sort of people that we're getting here. If you constantly get 50% of your visitors arriving at 11 o'clock in the morning when they could be spread out, then introduce time slots, spread people out a little bit. That's going to make for an easier time for yourselves and a better customer experience for them. So again, just little things you can do just to make a big difference. Revenue, add-ons, gift vouchers. We found about 10% of people add on when it's available. So I would always encourage people, if you don't have one, or there's nothing obvious, I mean, have a really good think whether you can, because it's a classic case of in for a penny, in for a pound when people are booking experiences. And if there's something extra that they can get to complete that experience, then it's definitely worth trying to think of something or trying to add something in at that point of booking, and a really good way of making a little bit of extra revenue from that. Finally, to support those marketing efforts, yes, you can do discounts. You've got the automated email, so that thank you email, when that goes out, why not add on a slight discount or something like that for a repeat visit, or for cross-selling one of your other activities, or just to get them to go to a review site for you. But it's another point of contact that you've got that really should be made the most of. Even the stuff like if you work alongside a charity and you just want in your thank you email to say, please support our charity. This is, that's every single visitor you get is going to get that message. So really useful to be able to take advantage of that. And of course, that with the OTAs as well, if many of the systems will integrate with OTAs. So we'll see, if you want to be able to utilize those, then this is a good way to do that. For the marketplace itself, for getting your experiences up on Visit Cornwall, I sort of touched a little bit on obviously all these various bits and bobs, but content is absolutely key in this. So I would urge, it's not a lot of effort to go onto Beyonk and upload your experiences and cut and paste a bit of information there. I would really urge you to spend a bit more time on it than just a token effort. Mainly because it's just not going to work for you if you haven't done that. So bear in mind, all marketplaces are out of context for your website or for your product. So when they land on that page, they may have come to find one thing, and they've had a little search around and they've found whatever it is that you're doing and what your experience is. So make sure that content is really rich, targeted to the market that you want. Maybe it has to be a bit more than just the experience itself. If it's out of that context, maybe explain a bit more about your business or your venue, or just the landscape around you, so that people get a real sense of what they're going to do. Obviously, there's a fine line between sort of too much info, but I think they do need that full picture. So do spend a bit of time just making sure that copy is really good. Imagery, I probably don't need to tell anybody anything about that these days. Visitors and bookers are very sort of image conscious, I guess, and I think no one is impressed by an old, poorly taken, blurry picture on a website anymore. I think it looks, the impression is that it's very unprofessional, and people are much less likely to book, and that's doubly so perhaps on a marketplace where they've got lots of other things to compare it to. So I think really important just to make sure you've got good images up there. Availability, I know, is the bugbear of many marketplaces. And I know certainly we spend a lot of time over the winter trying to get people to make sure that availability is put up there. I know it can be a problem, because I know, especially in Cornwall, where you obviously are very seasonal and a lot won't be open during the winter. But I think really important to at least put a date in there for when you are going to be open again. Even if you don't know exactly what that date will be, get something in there. We have a thing called pending booking, so it'll sort of automate it'll pre-authorize the payment, but then give you 24 hours to be able to respond and say whether you accept or decline the booking, or effectively engage the customer. So even if you don't know what that date is and you get this message, you've engaged the customer. They've seen that there's availability. They've seen they've been able to plan, because if they go on there and there's no availability, and that's the first thing they've seen on the website, they'll probably leave the entire website potentially. But if they've gone on there and there's a date, then they are open. That for them is right. I'm open for planning. I can now see that date is in April. That's great, because I wanted to come in spring. I'm planning for then, and they are in there. They've got that hook instantly there. So even if you haven't got that date, put something in that you can engage the customer with. And if nothing else, do it. I like to think it's a bit of a collective duty to all make sure we've got dates in there, because if they've gone to yours and there's no date in there, then they might well leave, and someone else, again, hasn't got that opportunity there. So I'd really ask everyone to try and put dates in as best they can, and it does just look more professional, gains that engagement, helps with that planning, and makes for a much better marketplace overall. Last point there is the storytelling, which I've talked about that already, just to really engage emotionally, broaden that market. It's very easy ways to tell a slightly different story, to target a different market, or to extend that season, as I've already mentioned, whether it is food-based, whether it is the wildlife that you might see at a different time of year, whether you talk about, they've got the picture here, and I picked this picture on the right-hand side, or this experience, really simply just because of the title, to be honest. This is such a simple thing, a coast-steering company, and let's call it the Winter Coast-steer. And let's make people understand, no, this is specific. Most people associate coast-steering with nice warm weather probably and going along in the summer, but no, this is a winter coast-steer. And it's such a simple thing, just to tailor it slightly and say, come along because this thing is specifically designed for this time of year, because the water might be clearer, or it's going to be a little bit rougher, or we're going to have that nice pub lunch afterwards as a reward for jumping in the water in the winter. Won't that be invigorating? So all these sort of things that can really engage people and get them excited about coming, I think is really, really a useful way to do that. And I'm going to round it off there, really, just to say, yes, this is a collaborative thing between us, between Visit Cornwall, but really importantly, between you all, just to get involved, and it's effectively something that by working together, we really try and grow that business, extend that season. And I should add that we do sort of share revenue, obviously, with Visit Cornwall, and I think that's really good. This is already an industry low fee, so I'll go on to the finances in a second, but it is just a 10% sort of commission for these things, and 50% of that will go back into Visit Cornwall, which is obviously promoting and further representing you. So in terms of sort of an OTA, in terms of a marketplace commission, this is really about as low as it will get. So we do try and offer that slightly sort of ethical approach to it all, and offering as good value as we possibly can. I've maybe preempted some questions here. I'll go through these very quickly, because these are what usually arise with this. I'm aware that I haven't gone fully into the detail about how to get involved yet, and I will happily set up some one-to-ones and go through sort of demos with people, because I haven't really got time to go through a full demo of all the system today. But if it really is a case of simply setting up an account on Beyonk.com, and once you've done that, you speak to us and you upload your experiences and you approve, or you submit those experiences for approval, and we'll feedback if there's anything to feedback. Otherwise, we'll approve that and let Visit Cornwall know, and it will then just like magic appear on their site. So if you already have a booking system, we don't integrate directly with other booking systems. The reason for that is that there are hundreds of them, and unfortunately it'd be too big a task for anyone to really integrate with every single other booking system. So we have features that can be easily sort of help you to run this alongside your existing system, like the pending bookings I mentioned earlier, things like that. So we get a lot of people using that and using it very successfully. It really is just like taking a phone booking, but a bit more automated. So it's slightly better than that. What are the fees? There are no setup fees, there are no running costs, there are no minimum term contracts, anything like that. It is simply a case of uploading this, and then any bookings that you get through this are a 10% plus VAT commission, plus the Stripe payment processor fees that we use. So yeah, very, very good value. If you think most of the OTAs, most of the big OTAs are sort of 20%, 30% cost, something like that. And I'm not even sure that would include booking fees and things. So really good value there. For Beyonk on your own site, it's a 4% plus VAT booking fee, which can be passed on to the customer as well. And as I say, very happy to chat about that some other time. I will leave it there, but happy to answer any questions for now. If I can just work out how to stop my screen share. How am I doing for time? Not too bad. Right, sorry, I've just seen that there's some stuff in the chat, so I will go through that. Help with staffing levels too. Thank you, Charlotte, for adding that point. Yes, we do. So in the Beyonk sort of features, we do have various features, resource management, staff scheduling, things like that. So lots of different ways to be able to run the business. So as an online booking system, it will do an awful lot. But yes, for those of you who need to allocate certain staff to certain things or certain resources, certain amounts of kit, we can do all of that through the system. And as I say, very happy to run through a demo for sort of 30, 40 minutes for anyone who wants to sort of set that up separately after this at any point, and run through things like that. Can a self-catering agency use this to sell tickets for attractions directly to our guests? Yes. So yeah, I thought it was going to be a question about selling accommodation. So unfortunately, we don't work sort of selling accommodation itself, but yes, we could probably work with you directly. It's worth a separate chat really in terms of how we'd get that onto your website to be able to sell directly to your guests, but that is possible. How important is an efficient online booking process? Can a clunky, inefficient booking funnel do more harm than good by putting off customers? It certainly doesn't help. I think efficient booking systems are pretty essential, really, because you're looking to make it an easy customer experience. This is all part. Bear in mind, this is the first thing a customer experiences from you. So it's got to be, the more efficient and easy it can be. It just reflects on the business. I think if I go on a website and it's a really awkward journey and the booking system's clunky and doesn't work, and that is my first impression of that business. So I think it might do more harm than good. Whether I mean, the stats are quite damning. It will put off customers. You might sort of think individually, I might still push through with that. But I think there's something on the lines of, if a website page takes more than 3 seconds to load, 50% of people leave. I mean, that is a damning stat, isn't it? That just doesn't speak well for our patience as a species, does it? But if you think how effective that is, and how many people you might lose through a page loading, just think how bad a clunky booking system might be about putting people off booking. So I think really important to have something that is very user friendly, very easy, and all the other features that you can then capitalize on. A booking system can really do a lot more for your business than just take bookings online, and that's what you should be aiming to get from it, and what you should be able to get from this involvement with both us and Visit Cornwall as well, and using this marketplace environment and using this sort of bookability on our website as a bit of a catalyst to be able to bring in all these things, and for Visit Cornwall as well, to be able to then use that as a catalyst to help with this other 32 weeks of the year.
Okay, thank you, Ross. And I think it goes back also to those famous words of sight doing, not sightseeing. So particularly when it comes to the other 32 weeks, people go, well, I know you can go down there and see things, not as much maybe as the summer, but what can I do? And I think that's particularly around the whole thing of culture, arts, sport, activities. They're all the things we need to get across, that there is so much to do. Different things to do, some things better, some things cooler, literally temperature-wise. But also, I think the one thing the last 2 years have done has made people a lot more comfortable about booking online and booking things up. It's almost like contactless payment seems to have sort of accelerated due to the pandemic. But I do take the comment from Cornish Gems. There's nothing worse than a bad system. Can be frustrating, but I'm glad Beyonk actually isn't that. It's a good system. Are there any other questions for Ross, or actually opening up to any other questions whatsoever, as long as they're morally correct and physically possible? It'll be like an auctioneer now. Anyone for the third time? Any more questions? Or rather, first time?
I had a couple here. If one moment, I've got here. Are bookings across the tourist industry as strong as last year? If not, are they as strong as pre-COVID?
Yeah, I probably can. I don't know. I've obviously experiences. Overall, it's not as strong as last year. I think people last year, well, there were two problems really. One was a lot of bounce bookings already from the previous year, from the previous lockdowns. And obviously some people already decided they weren't going to go abroad. So not as good. I would imagine, talking to people, that they are closer to 2019, 2018 figures, i.e. almost a normal year, as opposed to the last two abnormal years.
And one more is, generally, are attractions still using advanced bookings, and is it being taken up by visitors? Or are there a lot more attractions seeing people using walk-up tickets?
I honestly don't know that one. I think as we go forward, I think it'd be difficult to make people do advanced bookings. I think a lot of people would still like the option. So I think it's going to be a bit like working. It's going to be a hybrid. Some people won't want to make those decisions ahead of time and will expect to be able to turn up, or at least find out from your website that there's walk-in capacity. Other ones, other people like to plan and like to be the security. It's like the fast track in many of the big attractions. But I think consumers will split on their preferences. Those that are good at planning and like to plan and like to book it and secure it, and those that are a bit more free format and fluid.
Yeah,
and some of those are a bit frustrated.
I'll add to that. I mean, of all those using Beyonk and who brought in a booking system that with us over the last 2 years, no one has regressed, as it were. No one has gone back and said, no, we don't want an online booking system anymore. COVID has passed, we don't need it. The vast majority have understood and realized the benefits of it. All those sort of things I was talking about earlier. But I think it also comes back crucially to I think one of the first points I made is that it doesn't have to replace everything you had before. This is an additional way to take more bookings. So, you know, all those ones who still turn up on the day, well, we don't want to put them off. But equally, you know, if I'm looking at something now, and just purely from a personal perspective, but if I can't book it online, then I'm not certain I can get in, or I'm not certain what it's going to be like there. I like to know. And I think to take away that certain, and you know, I know I'm not alone in that. You know, the last 2 years, people have obviously got used to doing that and being able to book online. So I think, no, people haven't sort of taken it back, but yes, by all means, you can go back to doing things. You don't have to, it doesn't have to be pre-booking only, but I think to get rid of online booking would be going backwards a little bit.
I totally agree. I think for some people, they absolutely love the ability of the certainty to book what you're doing, particularly actually for the shorter breaks when you've got less capacity, if you get me, less flexibility, not capacity. So you could miss out on something. But as I said, I think it will be a hybrid where some people will want the option, but there'll certainly, I couldn't agree with Ross more, online booking's here to stay, whether it's exclusive or part of a mix is the debate. And I think it will be part of the mix, but maybe not at the really busy times. People just have to accept, you know, you wouldn't jump on a train and go to London and expect to be getting into your favourite West End show without booking ahead. So it is a bit variable that way. As I said, they will be going up on the website and you will be getting access to all the presentations.